Bill McGurn, Mark Penn join the conversation. Bill McGurn, why don't you start and tell us what you took away from what we just watched?
I have it.
McGurn, your thoughts?
You asking me? Yes.
Yes.
I took away that they're trying to try this case in public because they don't have much of a legal case. I thought the qualifiers were very interesting. You know, he said his father was not involved in his business. Not really. He parsed that a little more carefully. He said not financially involved. That's moving from originally, you know, Joe Biden said he had no idea, never discussed it. Those qualifiers are important. They're not in there by accident. So he's saying he's not financially involved. He also said he's willing to answer legitimate questions. That means he's going to be the arbiter of what's legitimate. So, I mean, the fact that we still don't know what he's going to do, whether he's going to appear at that deposition and take the fifth, which I think would be the smartest thing, we don't know. He's trying to manipulate public opinion by putting his narrative out there.
Yeah, you are correct, Bill. His actual quote was, "My father was not financially involved in business." So we'll make that clarification for the record here. And the reason that's important, Dana, is because we, you know, if you remember the Bill Clinton days when they put that deposition out there on camera, when he was interviewed and everybody sat there and said, wow, he sounded pretty good. And then we came out and we heard from the lawyers and they had an entirely different take on it. And that changed our view of that case then.
I want to double check that, though, because he said that 3 or 4 times. And at one point I wrote down father was not involved, but maybe he'll try to say that he was being a little bit more specific on that. Mark Penn, your thoughts on the strategy here, the communication strategy to do a public statement, not answer any questions. And now we're waiting to see if he's showing up for this deposition.
Well, look, I thought it was a strong and tough statement. I mean, you have to parse every word. It was legally, you know, his lawyer was standing right next to him. I think the big question is, what did he sell, and did his father let him sell it? And those questions are questions that the American public really wants answered. He is not a very popular figure. He did not acknowledge that he's under multiple indictments by the Biden Justice Department. And he said he wasn't going to show, and I don't expect him to show. And I will be surprised if he does show. I think it's a much wiser course. Every Trump child had to sit through multiple depositions. It's a routine part of our legal process. It's nothing particularly unusual. And if he doesn't show, I think it's going to, as I said, I think it will rev up the battle lines here on the impeachment inquiry. And I don't think that's the way to resolve this. The best way to resolve it is get the questions answered, show that what the truth is behind your statements, that your father was not involved.
One thing I would point out is that Senator Chris Murphy, who is a Democrat from Connecticut, over the weekend called most of the recent charges against Hunter Biden legally justified. And I'm just wondering about, again, just ask you, Mark Penn, about the communication strategy. If you have Democrats who are going to be under some really tough re-election scenarios, and I don't know if Chris Murphy is up or not, he's probably not, doesn't have a tough race, but many Democrats, everybody's going to be asked if they think that what Hunter did was okay. And how are they going to answer that? I don't know if this is the right, as you're saying, is it the right communication strategy for the overall campaign?
Well, look, the right communication strategy is to say the president did his job as vice president honestly and fairly, and his son did some things that are wrong that are going to be adjudicated, whether or not he did things that are wrong. And what you'd really want to do is move the son's issues as far away from the administration as possible. But the more you deny they exist, when everybody knows he received money, and he acknowledged in his statement he received substantial money, but doesn't appear to have paid his taxes at that time, you know, without acknowledging that in some way, you defy credibility.
Hang on one second, Mark. I apologize. So David Spunt's watching the door, okay? And this is the email he just sent out. No sign of him, meaning Hunter, obviously at Rayburn. And then David Spunt reports appears in all caps. He's skipping the deposition.
Right.
James Comer and others are not happy. I'm told that Comer will speak to the pool camera at some point. So that may be the next development, gentlemen, and we may have taken a completely different turn just like that. So stand by. We'll report it when it happens. We'll move through it together slowly, and we'll get it right as we go.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.